Number 1. Stephanie Lazarus, born on December 24th, 1960 in California. Stephanie Lazarus was a respected detective with the Los Angeles Police Department. She was known for her dedication to the law and rose through the ranks to become a homicide detective, someone entrusted with solving violent crimes. But behind her badge was a personal life marked by jealousy and obsession. In the early 1980s, Lazarus had been romantically involved with John Retton. But when John fell in love with and married a vibrant, accomplished nurse named Sherry Rasmussen, Lazarus couldn't let go. Sherry, born February 21st, 1960, was a brilliant nurse, beloved by those around her. She and John married in 1985 and began a life together in the San Fernando Valley. But that new life came to a horrifying end in February 1986. Sherry was found murdered in the home she shared with John. She had been shot multiple times. The scene suggested a botched burglary, but something didn't sit right. There was a crucial clue, a bite mark left on Sherry's body. But in 1986, DNA technology wasn't advanced enough to make the connection. Decades passed. The case went cold until 2009, when a cold case unit re-examined the evidence and Lazarus's name surfaced. Investigators discovered her past relationship with John and recovered DNA from the bite mark. The DNA matched Lazarus. The obsessive ex-girlfriend who once wore a badge had finally been unmasked. In 2012, Stephanie Lazarus was arrested for Sherry Rasmussen's murder. During the trial, prosecutors argued that she killed out of jealousy and used her knowledge as a police officer to conceal her crime. Despite her denials, the DNA told a different story. After several days of deliberation, the jury found Lazarus guilty of first-degree murder. She was sentenced to 27 years to life in prison. Her conviction rocked the LAPD and reminded the world that even those sworn to protect the law can become its violators. For Sherry's family, it brought long-awaited justice. But the trauma of losing her in such a brutal way still lingers. Number 2. Antoinette Frank, born on August 30th, 1971, in New Orleans, Louisiana. Antoinette Frank seemed destined for a life in law enforcement. In 1992, she joined the New Orleans Police Department and quickly rose through the ranks. She was young, ambitious, and seemingly committed to public service. But beneath the uniform was someone capable of betrayal beyond comprehension. Frank became romantically involved with Rogers Lacaze, a known felon. Together, they formed a deadly partnership. In 1995, Frank and Lacaze concocted a plan to rob the Kim On restaurant, a family-owned Vietnamese restaurant, where Frank's fellow officer, Ronald Williams, worked security. Frank had a key and insider knowledge. She knew exactly how to carry out the crime. On March 4th, 1995, Frank and Lacaze executed their plan. They entered the restaurant and, in a shocking act of violence, shot and killed Officer Ronald Williams. But they didn't stop there. Trung Vu and Phuong Vu, members of the family that owned the restaurant, were also gunned down. 3 lives taken in cold blood. After the murders, Frank returned to the crime scene in uniform, pretending to respond to the emergency. But a surviving witness identified her as one of the shooters. The investigation quickly unraveled her lies. Evidence and witness testimony confirmed her direct role in the murders. Lacaze was arrested and turned on Frank, revealing the depths of their deadly conspiracy. Frank was charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. The trial revealed chilling details about her greed, deception, and willingness to betray not only the public trust, but her fellow officer. In 1997, she was convicted and sentenced to death. She remains on death row at Louisiana State Penitentiary. Her case shook the New Orleans Police Department and left a permanent scar on the city. For the Vu family and Ronald Williams' loved ones, the pain endures. The story of Antoinette Frank is a haunting reminder that even those in uniform can commit the most unimaginable crimes. Number 3, Alfreda Fluker. Alfreda Fluker was born on January 10, 1985, in Birmingham, Alabama. A dedicated public servant, she served as an officer with the Birmingham Police Department for 15 years. Fluker was well known for her work ethic and commitment to the job, working alongside her partner, Officer Mario White. However, beneath her badge, she struggled with personal issues, including jealousy and a sense of betrayal, which would ultimately lead her to commit a shocking and brutal crime. Fluker's partner, Mario White, had been romantically involved with Kenesha Nicole Fuller, a 43-year-old woman. Fluker, who had also been in a romantic and professional partnership with White, discovered the affair. The strain between the officers escalated, leading to a tragic and fatal encounter in 2020. 6. Officer Stephanie Heaps. Before her name was etched into headlines as a symbol of betrayal, Stephanie Heaps had built a respectable career across two law enforcement institutions, the HM Prison Service and the Greater Manchester Police. Born and raised in the UK, Heaps had once been trusted to guard society's most dangerous individuals behind bars, and later to enforce the law on the streets. While working at HMP Forest Bank, a Category B men's prison in Salford, Heaps gained experience handling high-risk inmates. But behind the secure walls of the prison, she made a decision that would derail her life and her career. She began a covert, inappropriate relationship with Leon Ramsden, a life-sentenced inmate who had brutally stabbed 42-year-old Paul Fennell to death in 2005. There was no singular physical victim in this case of corruption, but the betrayal of public trust and the undermining of institutional integrity made society itself the victim. The suspect, Heaps, was not coerced or blackmailed. Her decisions were deliberate, calculated, and maintained over several years. Ramsden, the inmate she fell for, was manipulative and dangerous. Yet Heaps blurred the line between her duty and personal desires, allowing herself to be entangled in a secret affair with a convicted murderer. After leaving her position as a prison officer, Stephanie Heaps joined Greater Manchester Police, a move that only increased her access to sensitive intelligence. Rather than severing ties with Ramsden, she deepened their connection, communicating with him via illicit phones smuggled into the prison and maintaining encrypted contact channels. She used her new role to leak confidential police information, some of which pertained to ongoing investigations that Ramsden and his associates may have had interest in. Most shockingly, she withheld action on a domestic abuse suspect because of that individual's affiliation with Ramsden. The investigation revealed that Heaps had abused her position multiple times, accessing police databases without authorization and visiting Ramsden in prison under false pretenses. Digital forensic teams, surveillance footage, and phone data created a damning trail that exposed the full extent of her misconduct. In 2022, Stephanie Heaps was charged with misconduct in public office, a serious crime under UK law. In court, she pleaded guilty, and the judge described her betrayal as a shocking breach of public trust. The court emphasized that her actions jeopardized not only her career, but also police investigations and public safety. She was sentenced to 4 years and 3 months in prison, a punishment that reflected both the gravity of her corruption and the deep damage done to institutional credibility. The sentencing of Stephanie Heaps stunned both the prison service and police force. It was a sobering reminder that some officers, even after switching roles within the justice system, can still fall prey to personal weaknesses and criminal choices. Number 7. Officer Natalie Mottram. Born in 1989, Natalie Mottram would rise through the ranks of British law enforcement, eventually landing a high-trust position with the Northwest Regional Organized Crime Unit, WROQ, a powerful multi-agency unit responsible for combating major organized crime across northern England. Prior to this role, Mottram served with the Cheshire Police, where she built a strong reputation. Her transfer to NWROCU gave her access to high-level intelligence on drug trafficking networks, encrypted criminal communications, and ongoing covert operations. But the weight of that trust would ultimately be too much for her to bear. In this case, the victims weren't individuals. They were the British public, law enforcement institutions, and the integrity of national investigations. As a sworn officer, Mottram wasn't just expected to uphold the law. She was one of the few trusted to monitor and dismantle criminal syndicates. Instead, she betrayed her oath and acted as an internal informant for an organized crime gang using EncroChat, a heavily encrypted messaging app used by European traffickers and underworld figures. Mottram became a double agent, actively feeding intel to criminals in exchange for protection and trust, if not direct compensation. In 2020, European law enforcement cracked EncroChat, a massive intelligence breakthrough that led to arrests and disruptions in organized crime operations worldwide. But just as British forces prepared to strike, some of the targets seemed to disappear, tipped off and ready. Investigators soon discovered that someone had leaked critical information from inside the operation. Surveillance efforts traced the leak back to Natalie Mottram. She had accessed confidential briefings about the EncroChat operation and warned criminal associates, undermining the entire effort. She wasn't sloppy. She took care to hide her digital tracks. But internal monitoring systems, combined with message analysis, exposed her involvement. In 2022, Natalie Mottram was charged with misconduct in public office, unauthorized disclosure of information, and assisting an organized crime group. Her betrayal was described in court as a catastrophic breach of trust. She pled guilty to the charges and was sentenced to 3 years and 9 months in prison. During sentencing, the judge emphasized that Mottram had sabotaged a major criminal investigation, potentially putting lives at risk and allowing dangerous offenders to escape prosecution. Mottram's fall stunned British law enforcement. Her betrayal revealed how even elite agencies like NWROCU could be infiltrated, not by external hackers, but from within. The case led to new internal safeguards, including enhanced vetting procedures, digital access audits, and greater scrutiny for those with access to top-tier intelligence. But the damage was done. Criminal groups had evaded justice, and a trusted officer had sold out her badge. Natalie Mottram's story is not just about corruption. It's about how easily the line between protector and perpetrator can be crossed when power meets opportunity. Number 8. Officer Lorna Pennycook. Born on March 1, 1986, in Walsall, West Midlands, Lorna Pennycook served as a constable with West Midlands Police, stationed at the Handsworth Division. Her role entrusted her with access to sensitive police databases and intelligence systems. However, between August 2017 and April 2021, Pennycook exploited her position by unlawfully accessing confidential information to aid her boyfriend, Anthony Kennedy, a known criminal with 18 prior convictions. Over nearly 4 years, Pennycook conducted unauthorized searches on police systems, retrieving intelligence logs, warrant statuses, and details of ongoing investigations related to Kennedy and his associates. She then leaked this sensitive information to Kennedy, advising him to use burner phones and other tactics to evade law enforcement detection. Her actions directly compromised police operations and undermined public trust in the police force. In March 2023, Pennycook pleaded guilty to misconduct in public office. She resigned from the force in July 2021, shortly after her arrest. On December 12, 2024, she was sentenced to 4 years in prison at Birmingham Crown Court. The court highlighted the severity of her betrayal, emphasizing the risk her actions pose to ongoing investigations and the erosion of public confidence in law enforcement. Pennycook's case is a stark reminder of how personal relationships can lead to breaches of professional duty, yet her story is not isolated. Number 9. Officer Valerie Cincinelli. Born in 1984, Valerie Cincinelli dedicated over a decade to the NYPD, earning respect as a committed officer. Yet behind the badge, turmoil brewed. In early 2019, Valerie approached her boyfriend, John DeRubba, with a chilling proposition: to hire a hitman to eliminate her estranged husband. Initially shocked, DeRubba played along, gathering evidence. He reported the plot to the FBI, agreeing to become an informant. The FBI orchestrated a fake hit, staging Isaiah's death. They provided DeRubba with photos of the fabricated crime scene to show Valerie. Believing her plan had succeeded, Valerie expressed satisfaction, unaware that her conversations were being recorded. In May 2019, Valerie was arrested and charged with obstruction of justice and conspiracy to commit murder. The evidence included recorded conversations and the $7,000 she had provided, converted into gold coins for the hitman. Valerie pleaded guilty to obstruction of justice in April 2021. She was sentenced to 4 years in prison in October 2021, but was released in October 2022. Isaiah Carvalho Jr., now residing in the Bronx, continues to live in fear, wary of Valerie's release. John DeRubba remains in New York, working in real estate, having played a crucial role in thwarting the murder plot. Valerie Cincinelli's descent from a respected NYPD officer to a convicted felon serves as a stark reminder of how personal vendettas can lead to devastating choices. The vigilance of law enforcement and the courage of individuals like John DeRuba prevented a tragic outcome. Number 10. Officer Kim Potter. On February 17, 1973, in the small city of Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, Kim Potter was born. A woman who would go on to serve 26 years with the Brooklyn Center Police Department, her career would tragically be defined by a single, fateful moment. A 26-year veteran of the Brooklyn Center Police Department, known for her dedication and service, a 20-year-old black man described by friends and family as a loving father and aspiring barber. Dante's girlfriend, who was in the passenger seat during the incident. Dante's mother, whose grief and activism became central to the case. On April 11, 2021, Dante Wright was pulled over by police for a minor traffic violation. Upon discovering an outstanding warrant for his arrest, officers attempted to detain him. As Dante attempted to flee, Officer Kim Potter shouted, "Taser! Taser! Taser!" before firing a single shot from her handgun, fatally wounding Dante. The fatal shooting occurred during a traffic stop in Brooklyn Center, a suburb of Minneapolis. Officer Potter, believing she was deploying her taser, mistakenly drew her firearm and shot Dante Wright in the chest. The incident was captured on body camera footage, which was later released to the public. Dante's vehicle crashed a short distance away after the shooting. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Elena Albrecht Payton, the passenger, was unharmed but witnessed the traumatic event. The shooting occurred during the trial of Derek Chauvin for the murder of George Floyd, intensifying public scrutiny. Protests erupted in Brooklyn Center and across the nation, demanding justice for Dante Wright. The Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, BCA, conducted an investigation into the shooting. Officer Potter was placed on administrative leave and later resigned from the police force. The Hennepin County Medical Examiner ruled Dante Wright's death a homicide. In April 2021, Kim Potter was charged with second-degree manslaughter in connection with Dante Wright's death. The prosecution argued that Potter's actions were reckless and not consistent with her training. The trial began in November 2021, with Judge Regina Chu presiding. Katie Wright, Dante's mother, testified about the impact of her son's death on their family. The defense contended that the shooting was a tragic accident. In December 2021, the jury found Kim Potter guilty of first-degree and second-degree manslaughter. In February 2022, she was sentenced to 2 years in prison. Potter served approximately 16 months of her sentence before being released in April 2023. Dante Wright's death highlighted issues of police training and accountability. The incident led to renewed calls for police reform and changes in law enforcement practices. Katie Wright became an outspoken advocate for justice reform, speaking at rallies and legislative hearings. She emphasized the need for systemic change to prevent similar tragedies. After her release, Kim Potter began speaking at law enforcement conferences about the importance of proper training and accountability. Her engagement sparked debate about redemption and the ethics of her public appearances. The tragic death of Dante Wright serves as a stark reminder of the critical need for comprehensive police training and accountability. While the legal proceedings have concluded, the questions raised by this incident continue to resonate, urging communities and law enforcement agencies to reflect and reform. Number 11. Taylor Wright. Born in 1981 in Florida, Taylor Wright was known as a hard-working private investigator and former police officer. She had a reputation for being dedicated and fiercely loyal, not just in her professional life, but in her friendships as well. But sometimes the people closest to us are the ones who bring about our downfall. Taylor's story was no exception. She had a passion for justice and spent years in law enforcement. After leaving the police force, she transitioned into private investigative work, focusing on background checks and missing persons cases. Outside of work, Taylor cherished time with her family and had a tight-knit circle of friends. One of those friends was Ashley McArthur. At first glance, Ashley seemed like any other friend, outgoing, charming, and seemingly trustworthy. She had been a part of Taylor's inner circle for years. But beneath her friendly facade lay a dark secret that would eventually lead to a deadly betrayal. Taylor was going through a difficult divorce and turned to Ashley for help. In a display of trust, she gave Ashley $34,000, money intended for the divorce settlement. It was meant to be temporary. But when Taylor asked for the money back, something sinister began to unfold. Taylor, growing anxious, started pressing Ashley to return the money. What should have been a straightforward conversation spiraled into something far more dangerous. On a day in August 2017, Ashley lured Taylor to a secluded family property. It was framed as a peaceful setting where they could talk. Just the two of them, away from distractions. But Taylor had no idea that she was walking into a trap. Once she arrived, Ashley pulled out a gun and shot Taylor in the back of the head, executing her in cold blood. Then she buried Taylor's body in a shallow grave on the property, trying to erase all evidence. But Ashley couldn't erase everything. Technology began to speak. Surveillance footage showed Ashley arriving alone at the property. Taylor, seen leaving her house earlier, was never seen again. Phone records revealed a string of calls between the two women that day. Calls that painted a picture of betrayal and premeditation. Despite Ashley's attempts to cover up the crime, investigators pieced together her movements. The truth began to unravel. In court, prosecutors described Ashley as a calculating murderer who killed her best friend over money. Her defense team claimed self-defense, but the evidence was overwhelming. Key witnesses testified about Ashley's financial troubles and Taylor's demand for repayment. The jury saw through the lies. After just a few hours of deliberation, Ashley McArthur was found guilty of first-degree murder. In December 2019, she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. A once trusted friend was now a convicted killer. Taylor Wright's family was left to mourn a daughter, sister, and friend, betrayed by someone she trusted most. Her tragic death stands as a painful reminder of the dangers of misplaced trust and the dark lengths some will go to for money. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more chilling true crime stories.